The explosions lit up the dark space like deadly fireworks. Admiral Kethvor watched from the bridge of his flagship as another Andorian cruiser broke apart under enemy fire. The metal twisted and glowed red-hot before going cold and dark forever. "How many ships have we lost today?" he asked his aide. 43, sir. The enemy has lost 38. Kethvor's 4 eyes blinked slowly. 200 years of war, and they were still trading ships almost one for one. The Zephyrian coalition was just as stubborn as his own Andorian empire. Neither side would give up. Far across the battlefield, Commander Zara 9 of the coalition fleet felt the same tired frustration. Her energy weapons charged and fired in perfect rhythm. Blue beams struck Andorian shields, which flared bright and then recharged. The Andorians fired back with red beams that did the same to her ships. It was like a deadly dance that never ended. "Ma'am, should we advance?" asked her tactical officer. "No, hold formation. Fire when their shields cycle down." The same words she had spoken 1,000 times in 100 battles. The war had rules now. Both sides knew exactly how the other would fight. They formed neat lines in space, charged their weapons, and traded fire until one side had to retreat. Neither side ever really won. On the planet Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council met in emergency session once again. The chamber was filled with representatives from dozens of species. Some looked like giant insects, others were made of pure energy, and a few resembled walking crystals. "The war must end," spoke Elder Thyman, his crystal body pulsing with worried light. "Entire systems are becoming lifeless. Trade routes are destroyed. Our younger species are learning that war is normal. We have tried everything," buzzed Ambassador Velcree through her insect-like mandibles. "Both sides refuse mediation. They want total victory." "Perhaps we should let them destroy each other," suggested a being of pure light called Lomara. "The galaxy will be quieter." "And darker," replied Thyman. "We are the old species. We remember when the galaxy was young and peaceful. These wars will teach the newer species that violence is the only solution." The Council had good reason to worry. The Andorian Empire and Zephyrian Coalition were not small powers. Each controlled hundreds of star systems. Their fleets numbered in the thousands. They had been fighting for so long that their children knew no other way of life. What made it worse was how they fought. Both sides had incredible technology. Their ships could cross the galaxy in days. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their shields could stop almost any attack. But they used all this power in the most wasteful way possible. They would meet in open space, form battle lines, and hammer each other until one side retreated. No tricks, no surprises, no clever moves, just raw firepower against raw firepower. The older species watched with growing sadness. They remembered when war was quick and decisive. Now it dragged on forever because both sides were too proud to try anything new. In a forgotten corner of the galaxy's spiral arm, a small blue planet orbited a yellow star. The planet was covered in water and green land masses. Cities sparkled on the night side, connected by rivers of light that showed where its people traveled. The people called themselves humans, and they had just learned to travel faster than light. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the exploration ship Endeavour, watching the stars streak past in hyperspace. Her crew of 50 was excited and nervous. They were the first humans to travel this far from Earth. "Captain, we're approaching the target system," reported Lieutenant Torres from the navigation station. "Good. Take us out of hyperspace. Let's see what we find." The stars stopped moving and became points of light again. Ahead of them was a red star with several planets. Their sensors showed mineral deposits that Earth needed badly. "Looks promising," Chen said. "Start scanning for—" "Captain!" shouted Ensign Park from the sensor station. "I'm reading massive energy signatures. Multiple ships, very large. What kind of ships?" "Unknown design." They're fighting each other," Chen frowned. Earth's first contact protocols were clear. "Observe, don't interfere, try to communicate peacefully. Put it on screen." The main display showed a battle that took Chen's breath away. Hundreds of ships, each larger than anything Earth had ever built, were lined up facing each other. Energy beams flashed between them like colored lightning. Explosions bloomed when the beams found their targets. "My God," whispered Torres. "How long have they been fighting?" "Sensors show debris patterns suggesting this battle has been going on for hours," Park replied. "Maybe days." Chen watched the alien fleets trade volleys. She noticed something odd. Both sides fought in perfectly straight lines. They took turns firing. When one ship was destroyed, another moved up to take its place. It's like they're following rules, she murmured. Should we leave, Captain? Asked Tor as Chen thought about it. These aliens had technology far beyond anything Earth possessed. Their smallest ships were bigger than the Endeavor. Their weapons could probably vaporize her ship instantly, but they were also humanity's first contact with alien life. She couldn't just run away. Open a communications channel on all frequencies. Broadcast our first contact message. The message had been prepared by Earth's best diplomats and linguists. It included mathematical concepts, pictures of Earth and humans, and expressions of peaceful intent. The transmission went out in radio waves, laser pulses, and every other method Earth knew. For a moment, nothing happened. The alien fleets continued their deadly dance. Then everything changed. Both fleets stopped firing and turned toward the Endeavor. Hundreds of alien ships, their weapons still glowing with power, focused on the small human vessel. Captain, they're scanning us, Park reported, his voice tight with fear. Any response to our message? No, but they're charging weapons. Chen's training kicked in. The aliens saw the Endeavor as a threat. Maybe they thought it was a scout for another enemy fleet. All power to engines. Get us out of here. The Endeavor's simple fusion drive pushed them away from the battle as fast as possible. Behind them, energy beams reached out like grasping fingers, missing them by kilometers. They're following, Torres reported. Both fleets? Yes, ma'am. They've stopped fighting each other. For the first time in decades, Andorians and Zephyrians were cooperating. They both wanted to catch this strange new ship before it could report their positions to whoever sent it. The Endeavor jumped to hyperspace just as the alien weapons came close enough to fry their sensors. As the stars stretched into lines, Chen slumped in her command chair. Well, she said quietly. First contact didn't go as planned. Behind them, the two alien fleets stared at the empty space where the human ship had vanished. For a few minutes they wondered if they should work together to hunt down this new threat. Then Admiral Kethvor remembered he was at war with Commander Zara 9, and she remembered she was at war with him. They returned to their battle lines and resumed shooting at each other. But something had changed. Both sides now knew there were other ships in their galaxy. Unknown ships with strange designs and unpredictable behavior. The war continued, but now both admirals wondered what other surprises might be waiting in the dark between the stars. The Endeavor limped back toward Earth with damaged sensors and a crew that couldn't stop talking about what they had seen. Captain Chen sat in her quarters writing her report and trying to make sense of the alien battle. Computer, replay sensor data from the engagement. The holographic display showed the alien fleets again. Chen watched carefully this time, not distracted by fear. What she saw made her frown. Computer, analyze battle formations and tactics. The computer's calm voice responded. Both fleets employed linear formation. Ships arranged in parallel lines. Engagement range 50,000 kilometers. No flanking maneuvers detected. No feints or deceptions observed. Battle duration 4 hours with no decisive outcome. Chen shook her head. She had studied military history at the academy. This wasn't how you won wars, but a computer compared to human naval battles. Similar formations. Closest match, European naval battles, 1700 to 1800 CE. Ships of the line, broadside engagements. However, human admirals frequently attempted flanking, cutting the line, and weather gauge advantages. And these aliens didn't try any of that? Negative. Both fleets maintained rigid formations throughout the engagement. 3 weeks later, the Endeavor docked at Luna Station above Earth's moon. Within hours, Captain Chen found herself in a secure briefing room in Geneva, facing the highest levels of Earth's government and military. Admiral Marcus Rodriguez, head of Earth Defense Command, leaned forward as Chen finished her presentation. You're telling us these aliens have faster-than-light travel, energy weapons and shields, but they fight like it's the 18th century? That's exactly what I'm saying, sir. They had every advantage, but they used none of it cleverly. General Liu Wei, Earth's top military strategist, pulled up the tactical analysis on his tablet. Their ships can maneuver in 3 dimensions, but they fought in flat formations? Yes, sir. Like old sailing ships that could only fire from their sides. But these are spaceships, said Defense Minister Okafor. They can fire in any direction. They can, but they didn't, Chen replied. They just sat there trading shots. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Dr. Sarah Okoye, Earth's lead xenobiologist, spoke first. Perhaps their psychology is different from ours. Maybe they prefer formal, ritualized combat. Or maybe, said Admiral Rodriguez slowly, They've forgotten how to really fight. General Liu nodded. When you have overwhelming technological superiority, you don't need to be clever. You just need to have bigger guns. But they're fighting each other, pointed out Minister Okafor. Both sides have the same technology. Exactly, said Rodriguez. So they're stuck. Neither side can win because neither side knows how to think outside the box. Chen raised her hand. Sir, there's something else. When they detected us, both fleets immediately stopped fighting and worked together to chase us down. Interesting, mused Liu. So they can cooperate when facing an outside threat. But then they went back to fighting each other the moment we escaped. Over the following months, Earth's intelligence services worked overtime to learn more about the Galactic War. They sent stealth probes to observe more battles. Each probe confirmed what the Endeavor had discovered. The Andorian Empire and Zephyrian Coalition were incredibly advanced, but tactically primitive. They had been fighting the same way for 2 centuries because it was the proper way to fight. In the War College, Earth's brightest military minds analyzed the alien tactics with growing amazement. Look at this. Colonel Jackson pointed to the holographic battle display. They announced their attacks ahead of time. What do you mean? Asked Commander Patel. Watch the communication intercepts. The Andorian admiral actually tells the Zephyrian commander which ships he's going to target. You're joking. I'm not. It's like they think war should be fair. Major Thompson laughed. Fair in war? That's not the strangest part, Jackson continued. When one side runs low on ammunition, the other side lets them resupply. The room erupted in disbelief. They actually paused the battle? Patel asked. For hours sometimes. Both fleets just sit there, repairing and reloading. This isn't war, Thompson said. This is some kind of elaborate game. Colonel Jackson nodded grimly. A game that's been going on for 200 years while millions die. Meanwhile, on the front lines of the Galactic War, both sides were beginning to worry about the strange ship they had encountered. Admiral Kethvor studied the sensor readings for the 100th time. Small ship, primitive fusion drive, no energy weapons detected. Should we be concerned, sir? Asked his aide. I don't know. Its design doesn't match any known species. And the way it moved, sir, it didn't follow any standard tactical doctrine. When we targeted it, it immediately ran. No attempt to form up, no challenge broadcast, no honor guard. On the Zephyrian flagship, Commander Zara 9 was having similar thoughts. The ship's behavior was erratic, she told her staff. Unpredictable. Perhaps it was damaged, ma'am. No, I don't think so. I think it was afraid. A cowardly species, then. Maybe. Or maybe a smart one. As months passed, both sides sent scout ships to look for more vessels like the one they had encountered. They found nothing, but the search made them think about their own tactics. Some younger officers began asking uncomfortable questions. Admiral, said Sub-Commander Vextal to Admiral Kethvor, why don't we try attacking from different angles? Because that's not how fleet engagements are conducted. But sir, if we could hit them from 2 sides at once. Sub-Commander, we fight with honor. We meet our enemies face to face, not skulking around like pirates. Similar conversations were happening on Zephyrian ships. Commander, asked Lieutenant Morris 6, what if we pretended to retreat, then ambushed them? That would be dishonest, replied Zara 9. We are not thieves in the night, but the questions kept coming. The encounter with the strange ship had planted seeds of doubt in some military minds. Back on Earth, the decision-makers faced a crucial choice. They could hide, hoping the Galactic War would burn itself out without involving humanity, or they could reveal themselves and try to help. We're talking about species that have been at war for centuries, warned Minister Okafor. They tried to destroy us on first contact, because they thought we were scouts for an enemy fleet, countered Admiral Rodriguez. What if we approach them differently? How? What if we offer to help them end their war? Dr. Okoye looked skeptical. Help them how? We don't have their technology. We don't need their technology, said General Liu quietly. We have something better. Which is? We know how to win. The debate raged for weeks. Some officials wanted to stay hidden. Others wanted to make peaceful contact and offer trade. But a growing number supported Admiral Rodriguez's radical proposal. Finally, President Chen, no relation to Captain Chen, made the decision that would change the galaxy. We're going to offer our services as military advisors, she announced to the National Security Council. Not to help either side win, but to help both sides fight more effectively. Ma'am, said Minister Okafor, that could make the war even worse. Or it could end it quickly, Rodriguez replied. Right now they're locked in an endless stalemate. If we teach both sides better tactics, one will gain an advantage and force a decisive outcome. And if they both learn at the same rate? General Liu smiled grimly. Then we'll have to get creative. 6 months after the Endeavor's first contact, Earth made a decision that would shock the galaxy. They were going to join the battle not with superior weapons or technology, but with something the advanced aliens had lost along their path to the stars. They were going to bring the art of war itself. The human fleet was tiny compared to what Admiral Kethvor was used to seeing. Only 12 ships, each smaller than his smallest escort vessel. Their hulls were gray metal instead of the elegant crystal composites his people used. They moved with simple chemical rockets instead of gravity manipulators. Are you certain these primitives want to speak with us? Asked his aide. They sent the message on all channels, Kethvor replied. They claimed to have tactical knowledge that could help us win the war. The human message had been broadcast to both fleets simultaneously, which was either very brave or very stupid. Admiral Rodriguez's words had been simple. We are humans from the planet Earth. We have studied your conflict. We believe we can help both sides fight more effectively. We request a meeting under neutral conditions. Commander Zara 9 of the Zephyrian Coalition had received the same message. Her fleet hung in space 50,000 kilometers from the Andorians, with the tiny human force positioned exactly between them. They want to help both sides? She asked her tactical officer. That's what they claim, ma'am. Either they're insane or they have some plan we don't understand. On the human flagship Yorktown, Admiral Rodriguez studied the alien formations through his optical telescopes. Even with their primitive sensors, he could see what the aliens couldn't see about themselves. Look at that, he said to General Liu, who had insisted on coming along. Perfect spacing, perfect alignment. They might as well paint targets on their ships. No screening forces, Liu observed. No scouts, no reserves. Everything in the main battle line. And look how they're positioned. Both fleets are facing each other head-on. No one's trying to get an angle advantage. Captain Chen, promoted after her first contact mission, shook her head in amazement. It's like they think there's only one way to fight. The meeting took place on a small asteroid that both sides agreed was neutral ground. The Andorians brought Admiral Kethvor and his staff. The Zephyrians sent Commander Zara 9 and her officers. The humans arrived with Rodriguez, Liu, and Chen. The asteroid had been fitted with a temporary habitat dome. Inside, the three species met for the first time under peaceful conditions. Kethvor was tall and thin with 4 eyes and bluish skin. Zara 9 was shorter but broader with silver skin that seemed to shift and shimmer. Both wore elaborate military uniforms covered in decorations. Admiral Rodriguez wore a simple gray uniform with minimal insignia. You claim you can help us win our war, Kethvor said without preamble. How can primitives who still use chemical rockets teach us anything about combat? With respect, Rodriguez replied calmly. Your war has been going on for 200 years with no decisive outcome. Maybe it's time to try something different. Our tactics are proven and honorable, Zara 9 stated. We fight with courage and strength. I don't doubt your courage, Liu said. But courage without strategy is just a way to die bravely. Explain. Both alien commanders said it. Once, Rodriguez activated a holographic projector that showed the recent battle they had observed. You form lines and shoot at each other until someone retreats. How often does either side actually win? Victory is measured over time, Kethvor replied. We destroy more of their ships than they destroy of ours. Barely, Zara 9 countered. The ratio is almost even. Exactly, Chen said. You're not trying to win quickly. You're trying to win correctly. There is a proper way to conduct warfare, Zara 9 insisted. Says who? Liu asked. The question seemed to confuse both aliens. It is traditional, Kethvor said slowly. Traditions can change, Rodriguez said. Would you like to see how humans fight? Both commanders agreed, more out of curiosity than belief. The demonstration took place in a nearby empty system. Rodriguez had arranged for volunteer crews from both alien fleets to observe. The setup was simple. One human ship would face 3 alien vessels in combat simulation. Captain Martinez commanded the human destroyer Defiant. The alien ships were state-of-the-art cruisers with energy shields and plasma cannons. This is unfair, complained the Andorian observer. 3 against 1. War's unfair, Chen replied. That's the point. The battle began with the alien ships forming a perfect triangle around the human vessel. They expected the Defiant to choose one target and engage in the traditional manner. Instead, the Defiant did something no alien ship had ever done in combat. It ran away, cowardice, shouted the Zephyrian observer. Patience, Liu counseled. The alien ships gave chase, but the Defiant was smaller and more maneuverable. It led them toward a nearby asteroid field, still broadcasting what appeared to be distress calls. Your ship is malfunctioning, Kethvor observed. Is it? Rodriguez asked. The Defiant plunged into the asteroid field with the alien ships close behind. The pursuing vessels had to break formation to navigate between the rocks. As soon as they were separated, the Defiant struck. It had planted missile pods on several asteroids during its approach. As the alien ships passed by, the hidden weapons activated. One cruiser was disabled immediately. The second took heavy damage before it could raise shields. The third ship found itself alone facing the Defiant in a conventional duel. But now the odds were even, and the human ship proved remarkably difficult to hit as it dodged between asteroids. Within 20 minutes, all three alien vessels were disabled. The observers sat in stunned silence. How? Whispered the Andorian officer. Preparation, deception, and using the environment. Martinez explained over the comm. We let you think you were winning while we led you into our trap. But that's cheating, the Zephyrian protested. No, Rodriguez said firmly. That's thinking. Over the next few hours, the human officers explained concepts that the aliens had never considered. You always fight in open space, Liu pointed out. Why not use planets, asteroids, or nebulae to your advantage? Because proper fleet actions are conducted in clear space, Zaranine replied. Who decided that was proper? Again, the aliens seemed confused by the question. Chen showed them recordings of human naval battles. We learned to use weather, terrain, and timing because we had to. Our ships were roughly equal, so we had to be smarter. You fight without honor, Kethvor accused. We fight to win, Rodriguez countered. Would you rather lose honorably or win dishonorably? There must be a third option. There is. Win so decisively that honor becomes irrelevant. The humans explained more concepts. Concentration of force, interior lines, feints and diversions, logistics, intelligence gathering. Each idea was foreign to the alien commanders. Your people have been fighting the same way for centuries, Liu observed. Have you ever tried anything different? Young officers sometimes suggest. Irregular tactics, Zaranine admitted. But they are discouraged. Why? Because that's not how civilized beings conduct warfare. Rodriguez leaned forward. Commander, with respect, civilized beings try not to have wars at all. When they do fight, they try to end the fighting as quickly as possible. By any means necessary? Kethvor asked. By smart means, Chen corrected. You have incredible technology. Imagine what you could accomplish if you used it cleverly instead of just powerfully. The meeting lasted for days. Slowly, both alien commanders began to understand what the humans were offering. Not just new tactics, but a completely different way of thinking about conflict. You would teach both sides equally? Zaranine asked. That's the idea, Rodriguez confirmed. Better tactics will lead to quicker, more decisive battles. The war might actually end. And if one side learns faster than the other, then they'll win and the war will be over. What do you gain from this? Kethvor wondered. Rodriguez smiled. An end to a war that's been wasting lives and resources for 2 centuries. And maybe some new friends. Both commanders agreed to small trials. They would allow human advisors to work with select units and see what happened. Neither alien truly believed these primitive creatures could teach them anything useful. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The galaxy was about to discover that sometimes the student can become the teacher, and the primitive can become the advanced. Humanity was preparing to show the universe that surviving on a dangerous world had taught them something precious. They had learned that there was no such thing as cheating when your life was on the line. There was only winning and losing, and humans really hated to lose. The first test came 3 weeks later in the Kepler system. Admiral Kethvor had agreed to let a human advisor join his fleet for a small engagement. General Liu boarded the Andorian flagship with a team of tactical specialists. Across the system, Commander Zaranine made the same arrangement with Admiral Rodriguez. Both alien commanders expected their human guests to observe and learn, not to actually influence the battle. They were about to be very surprised. Liu studied the Andorian battle plan with growing disbelief. You're going to form a line and advance directly at the enemy? It is the proven method, Admiral Kethvor replied. We will close to optimal firing range and engage. What if they retreat? Then we pursue in formation. All of you? Together? Of course. We must maintain unit cohesion. Liu looked at the tactical display showing the enemy fleet's position. Admiral, what if I told you that you could destroy half their ships before they could return fire? Kethvor's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. That would be impossible. They have shields and weapons equal to ours. Equal, yes, but not well positioned. Liu highlighted several points on the display. Look at their formation. Their ships are spread out to cover a wide front, right? Standard defensive posture, but that means their flanks are weak. If you could hit them from the side with concentrated fire, we cannot attack from the side. That would mean breaking formation. What if some of your ships stayed in formation while others went around? The Andorian admiral stared at Liu as if he had suggested breathing vacuum. Split our forces? That would violate basic tactical doctrine. Sometimes violating doctrine is how you win. Meanwhile, on the Zephyrian flagship, Rodriguez was having a similar conversation with Commander Zara 9. Your plan is to wait for them to attack, then meet them head-on? He asked. Defensive tactics are sound. We will let them come to us and engage at maximum efficiency. What about that moon over there? Zara 9 followed Rodriguez's gesture to a large satellite orbiting nearby. What about it? You could hide ships behind it. When the enemy advances, they'd run right into an ambush. Hide our ships? Admiral Rodriguez, we are not pirates. You're warriors trying to win a war. We are honorable warriors. We face our enemies openly. Rodriguez sighed. Commander, with respect, your enemies are shooting at you with weapons that can vaporize your crews. Honor won't bring dead people back to life. The battle began as both sides expected. The Andorian fleet formed a perfect line and advanced. The Zephyrian fleet arranged itself in defensive formation and waited. Then Liu spoke quietly to Admiral Kethvor. What if just 6 of your ships went around that asteroid field? They could hit the enemy's flank while the main fleet keeps their attention. Absolutely not. Sir, you're about to lose ships. Good people are going to die. Let me show you a way to save them. On the other side, Rodriguez was making a similar plea to Zara 9. You don't have to change your whole plan. Just move 3 ships behind that moon. When they attack, you'll catch them between 2 fires. Both alien commanders refused. They had centuries of tradition behind them. They would not be taught by primitives. The battle unfolded exactly as every battle had for 200 years. The fleets met in the middle of empty space and hammered each other with energy weapons. Ships exploded on both sides. After 4 hours of fighting, both fleets were badly damaged and retreated. The casualty reports made Liu sick. 12 ships destroyed, over 3,000 crew members dead, all because 2 stubborn admirals refused to try something new. This didn't have to happen, he told Kethvor after the battle. It is the price of honor. It's the price of stupidity. Kethvor's aide moved to arrest Liu for insubordination, but the admiral stopped him. Explain. You could have won that battle with minimal losses. Instead, you chose to fight fair against an enemy who wants to kill you. There's nothing honorable about throwing away lives for no reason. And your way would have been better? Let me show you. The second test came a month later. This time, both alien commanders were desperate. Their fleets were running low on ships and crews. The war was becoming a race to see which side would run out of people first. Admiral Kethvor finally agreed to try one of Liu's suggestions, but only a small deviation from proper tactics. That's all I need. Commander Zara 9 made the same deal with Rodriguez. One minor change. If it fails, we return to proven methods. Understood. The battle took place in the Vega system. Both fleets approached each other as usual, but with small modifications. On the Andorian side, Liu had convinced Kethvor to send 6 fast ships around a nearby gas giant. They would arrive at the enemy's flank just as the main fleets engaged. Remember, Liu told the flanking force commander, don't announce your attack. Don't give them warning. Just hit them as hard as you can. On the Zephyrian side, Rodriguez had positioned 3 ships in the shadow of a large asteroid. They would wait until the Andorians were committed to their attack, then emerge and catch them in crossfire. Don't worry about fighting fair, Rodriguez advised. worry about going home alive. The main fleets met and began their traditional exchange of fire. Both admirals watched their ships take damage, waiting for their secret forces to make the difference. The Andorian flanking force struck first. 6 ships suddenly appeared on the Zephyrian's left side, firing at maximum power. The coalition vessels, focused on the frontal attack, were caught completely off guard. Their shields were facing the wrong direction. 3 Zephyrian ships exploded before they could even return fire. But Commander Zara 9 had her own surprise. As the Andorian fleet pressed forward thinking they had won, the hidden Zephyrian ships emerged from behind the asteroid. They hit the Andorians from behind, targeting engines and command centers. The Empire ships found themselves caught between 2 enemies with nowhere to run. The battle lasted only 90 minutes. When it was over, both sides had taken heavy damage, but something had changed. Instead of the usual stalemate, there was a clear winner. The Zephyrian coalition had lost more ships, but the Andorian fleet was too damaged to continue fighting. They had to retreat, giving the coalition control of the system. Impossible, breathed Admiral Kethvor as he reviewed the battle reports. Your flanking attack worked perfectly, Liu pointed out. You destroyed 3 enemy ships before they could react. But they had ships waiting to ambush us. How did they know? Liu smiled. They didn't know. They just thought like you did. They tried something clever. On the coalition flagship, Commander Zara 9 was having her own revelation. We won, she said in amazement. Barely, Rodriguez corrected. But yes, you won. More importantly, you won because you thought differently. The enemy tried the same tactic we did. Exactly. Which means both sides are learning. The question is, who will learn faster? News of the battle spread quickly through both fleets. Young officers who had been quietly questioning traditional tactics suddenly found their voices. Maybe the humans were right. Maybe there was a better way to fight. But the older commanders were horrified. War was supposed to be predictable. Both sides were supposed to know the rules. Now anything could happen. Admiral Kethvor called an emergency conference with his staff. The humans have corrupted our enemies with dishonorable tactics. Sir, said Sub-Commander Vextel carefully. They offered the same advice to us, which makes them traitors to both sides. Or honest advisors, Liu suggested from where he sat at the back of the room. We told you from the beginning that we would help both fleets equally. You have made war unpredictable. I've made war winnable. The question is, do you want to win or do you want to lose honorably? The argument raged for hours. Some Andorian officers wanted to dismiss the human advisors and return to traditional methods. Others pointed out that traditional methods had been failing for 2 centuries. On the Zephyrian side, similar debates were taking place. Some officers wanted to learn more from the humans. Others feared that changing their tactics would somehow make them less civilized. But while the admirals argued, the younger officers were already adapting. They had seen what was possible when you stopped fighting by rules that only helped your enemy. Captain Velcora of the Zephyrian destroyer Nightwind was one of the first to embrace human tactics completely. She started using asteroids for cover, attacking from unexpected angles and coordinating with other ships to create complex battle plans. Commander Thexmal of the Andorian cruiser Starhammer did the same. He began studying human military history, learning about concepts like combined arms and force multiplication. Within weeks, both sides had officers who were experimenting with new ideas. Some failed spectacularly, others succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. The war was changing. Battles that used to last days were being decided in hours. Stalemates were becoming victories and defeats. For the first time in centuries, one side or the other was actually winning engagements. The galaxy watched in amazement as the 2 most advanced military powers began learning warfare from primitive newcomers who still used chemical, rockets and metal bullets. But the biggest shock was yet to come. The humans had one more lesson to teach, and it would change everything. 6 months after the first human-advised battle, the galaxy received shocking news. A joint Andorian-Zephyrian fleet was approaching the Sol system. Every ship was armed and ready for battle. On Earth, emergency meetings ran around the clock. Some officials wanted to surrender immediately. Others demanded they fight to the last ship. Admiral Rodriguez had a different idea. They're not coming to destroy us, he told the emergency council. They're coming to test us. Test us how? Demanded President Chen. They want to see if we're as good as we claim to be. Both sides have been using our tactics against each other for months. Now they want to face the source. Defense Minister Okafor looked pale. Our entire fleet is maybe 50 ships. They're bringing hundreds. Which is exactly what we expected, General Liu said calmly. We always knew this day would come. You planned for this? Rodriguez nodded. From the beginning, we knew that eventually they would want to face us directly. The question was, would they come as enemies or as students? The alien fleet stopped at the edge of the solar system and broadcast a message. Admiral Kethvor and Commander Zara 9 appeared on screens across Earth. Humans of Earth, Kethvor began. You have changed the nature of warfare in our galaxy. Some call this progress, others call it corruption. We have come to settle the matter, Zara 9 continued. Face our combined fleets in battle. Prove that your methods are superior or admit that you have been teaching lies. If you win, Kethvor added, we will listen to your counsel. If you lose, you will leave our galaxy forever. Rodriguez smiled as he prepared humanity's response. We accept your challenge, but we propose different terms. Name them. We'll face your combined fleets with just 12 ships, but when we win, both of your species will end this war permanently and work together to build something better. The alien commanders laughed. Even working together, they had over 300 ships. The humans were offering to fight at odds of 25 to 1. And if you lose? Zara 9 asked. Then humanity will leave the galaxy, and you can go back to fighting each other for another 200 years. Agreed. The battle would take place in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Both sides would have observers to ensure fairness. The entire galaxy would be watching. On the day of the battle, Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Yorktown, watching the massive alien fleet approach. 300 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy, commanded by officers who had been learning human tactics for months. Nervous? Asked Captain Chen. Terrified, Rodriguez admitted, but also excited. This is what we've been building toward. The human fleet consisted of 12 ships, each smaller than the smallest alien vessel. Their weapons were primitive kinetic cannons and missile launchers. Their shields were basic magnetic fields that could barely stop micrometeorites, but they had something the aliens still didn't fully understand. All ships, this is Admiral Rodriguez. Remember, we're not trying to destroy their fleet. We're trying to teach them the most important lesson of all. Which is? Asked Captain Martinez of the Defiant. That the best way to win a war is to make sure it never has to be fought again. The alien fleet approached in perfect formation, using every human tactic they had learned. They had flanking forces, hidden reserves, and complex battle plans. Admiral Kethvor felt confident. They taught us well. Now we will use their own methods against them. Commander Zara 9 agreed. No honor guard, no announced attacks, no fair play. We will fight as they taught us to fight. The battle began at maximum range. The alien ships opened fire with concentrated volleys, trying to overwhelm the human fleet quickly. But the human ships weren't where the aliens expected them to be. Where did they go? Demanded Kethvor. The 12 human vessels had scattered in all directions, using the asteroids for cover. They weren't fighting as a unified fleet. They were fighting as individuals, each ship following its own plan. This is chaos, Zara 9 observed. There's no coordination, no formation. She was wrong. There was coordination, but it was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. The human ships communicated constantly, sharing information and adapting their plans in real time. Captain Chen found herself facing 6 alien cruisers alone. Instead of retreating, she did something that shocked the enemy commanders. She broadcast a message on an open channel. Andorian vessels, this is Captain Chen of the Earthship Endeavor. I have a proposition for you. Admiral Kethvor was so surprised he almost forgot to fire. A proposition? In the middle of battle? I'm outnumbered 6 to 1. But I bet I can disable all of your ships without destroying any of them. If I succeed, your crews survive. If I fail, you get an easy victory. Why would you risk your ship to save our crews? Because that's what civilized beings do. While Chen was negotiating with the Andorians, Captain Martinez was facing a similar situation with Zephyrian ships. Commander Zara 9, I challenge your 5 best ships to single combat. One at a time, winner takes all. That's not tactically sound, Zara 9 replied. No, but it's fair. Isn't honor important to your people? Across the battlefield, human captains were making individual deals with alien commanders. Some proposed duels, others offered to share tactical data in exchange for safe passage, and a few simply asked the aliens to stop shooting and talk. The alien observers were baffled. What are they doing? Asked Elder Thyman of the Galactic Council. They're not fighting a battle, realized Ambassador Velcree. They're having conversations. And that's exactly what was happening. Instead of trying to destroy the alien fleet, the humans were engaging each group of ships individually, turning the battle into dozens of smaller encounters. Some they won through superior tactics. Others they won through negotiation. A few they lost deliberately to prove points about cooperation. Admiral Keth Vor found himself facing Admiral Rodriguez directly, ship to ship. This is madness, the Andorian commander declared. War is not supposed to be personal. All war is personal, Rodriguez replied. Every ship you destroy has people inside it. People with families, hopes, dreams. When you forget that, war becomes easy. And when war becomes easy, it never ends. So what do you propose? I propose we stop fighting and start talking. Your people and the Zephyrians have been at war so long you've forgotten why you started. Maybe it's time to remember what you were fighting for. The turning point came when Captain Torres of the destroyer Vanguard deliberately rammed his ship into an asteroid to save a damaged Zephyrian vessel from being crushed. Why did you do that? The Zephyrian captain asked over the comm. We're enemies. Today we're enemies, Torres replied from his escape pod. Tomorrow we might be friends. I'd rather keep that possibility open. The rescue of Torres became a joint operation. Human, Andorian, and Zephyrian ships worked together to save the crew of the Vanguard. As they did, something remarkable happened. The shooting stopped. Commander Zara 9 stared at her tactical display in amazement. All across the battlefield, ships from 3 different species were helping each other instead of fighting. How did they do this? She asked. Admiral Keithfor had the same question. We came here to test their combat skills. Instead, they've made us question why we're fighting at all. Admiral Rodriguez broadcast a message to all ships. The battle is over, not because anyone won or lost, but because we've all learned something more important than victory. Which is, asked both alien commanders, that the strongest tactic of all is knowing when not to fight. The formal surrender came 3 hours later, but it wasn't what anyone expected. Instead of the aliens surrendering to humanity, all 3 species surrendered to the idea that war might not be inevitable after all. The peace treaty was signed on Luna Station, with representatives from across the galaxy watching. The Andorian, Empire and Zephyrian coalition agreed to end their 200-year war and work together to rebuild what they had destroyed. But more importantly, they agreed to something else. Humanity would establish military academies throughout the galaxy, teaching not just tactics and strategy, but the philosophy of warfare itself. Captain Chen, now promoted to Admiral, stood before the first class of alien students at the Mars War College. The first lesson, she told the mixed group of Andorians, Zephyrians, and dozen of other species, is that the best general is the one who wins without fighting. The second lesson is that if you must fight, fight to end the fighting as quickly as possible. A young Andorian officer raised his hand. But what about honor? There's no honor in prolonging a war, Chen replied. There's only honor in protecting people and building something better. In the years that followed, the human approach to warfare spread throughout the galaxy. Conflicts that had lasted centuries were resolved in months. Species that had been enemies for generations learned to see each other as potential allies. The galaxy still had wars, but they were different now. Shorter, smarter, and always fought, with the goal of creating peace rather than achieving victory. Admiral Rodriguez, now in his 70s, stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Defense Station orbiting Earth. Through the window, he could see ships from dozens of species working together to patrol the space lanes. General Liu joined him, equally aged but still sharp. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Liu asked. "Getting involved in an alien war, teaching them to fight better?"